In today's tutorial, we are going to learn how to draw a wisteria tree with markers. This is a very simple practice. We will start by doing a pencil outline, then I will talk about the basic shading and walk you through the coloring process step by step. Later, I will show you how to color this water paint. You can check the art supply list in the description box. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. First, I'm drawing a few short lines to roughly mark the height of the tree and the tree trunk. Then we can start to sketch. To draw the tree trunk, we can start with using the shape of letter Y, then add irregularity to the edge. We can make each arm have different length and thickness. Now we can draw some circles to outline the major collections of leaves. I normally follow the triangular composition to draw 3 big circles first, then add some small circles around. Try not to evenly spread these circles. The goal here is to create an irregular shape. When I don't have a reference picture but I want to draw a tree from my imagination, following this step is very helpful for me. Drawing construction lines first helps me better design and visualize the final look of my drawing. Once you get the basic construction line ready, we can start to draw straight lines to further define the shape of each collection. You can simply follow the shape of each circle, add 4 to 6 lines to each of them. Slightly erase excessive lines and make your outline lighter to prepare for the coloring process. Here I decided to add another branch to make it look more balanced. Before we start to color, let's briefly go over the basic shading. I'm roughly drawing the outer shape of the tree crown to simplify its form. Then I break it down into small forms. I decided the light source is from the upper left and slightly in front of the tree. The area that is closer to a direct light source will have lighter value. Each small form will have its own light to dark value, but the circles are on the lower right part of the tree will have more darker values, since it's away from the sunlight. You can grab 3 shades of green marker to do this small shading practice. Start with a lighter shade to color the entire tree, then use darker shade to add mid-tone, core shadow, and cast shadow. The upper part of the tree branches will have darker value since it's in the shadow of the tree crown. Let's take a look at what marker strokes we will be using when coloring. The main marker stroke we will use is the gradient stroke. Move your marker fairly fast, then lift it at the end, so the lower part will become narrower. We will use a straight line as well. The third one is diagonal straight stroke we will use for the tree leaf. The last one we will use is repetitive dots to add the texture to simulate the shape of the flower petal. Now it's the coloring time. You can use green colors to draw a willow tree, or yellow color to draw a golden chain tree. You will need at least 2 shades of colors. 3 shades is better, 4 shades will be the best. Start with the lightest shade you have, slightly to add value. At the beginning, we will apply less pressure on the paper, so we can get a lighter shade of this color. Especially when you don't have enough shades of a color, you will need to be more precise on your strength and speed when you use your marker. Leave some white space on the top of each clump, because we will draw tree leaves later. I think this drawing is easier compared with other trees I drew before. This one we won't use pen to draw many marks, and the stroke direction is very consistent. But I did spend lots of time on practicing and trying different ways to draw this tree, to figure out which way is easier. Now grab a light green color to draw some leaves. Instead of drawing the actual shape of a leaf, we can just draw these marks to represent a group of leaves. To color the tree trunk, we can start with a warm gray color. Remember, the light source is from the upper left, so the right part of the tree trunk will be darker. The tree trunk has a rough surface, so I like using short strokes to make the surface have inconsistent light and dark value. The first layer of ink is already dry. Go back to the first shade of purple to further add darker values. You will mainly add darker value on the right side of each flower clump. Now you can switch to the second shade of purple to repeat the previous step. This tree already have a small range of values. You can use a pen to outline the tree trunk. Increase the thickness of the line on the right side. Using a variety of line weight is also a way to build up the volume. Let's add some details on the tree leaves. Use a darker green color to add a few strokes on the lower part of each group of leaves to build up the volume. Here we can use the third shade of purple to add the core shadow. Add more darker values on the right part of the tree. Draw some marks to add the texture. The flowers on the end of the vines are normally smaller than the ones on the top. Make sure the size of the marks decrease as it towards the bottom. Use a fourth shade of purple to add the darkest value here to increase the contrast. You can use a dark cool gray color as well. To add a warm tone here, I used the violet color to add just a few strokes. You can use a medium shade of green to add the transition between the light and dark value. For the last step, we can use the gel pen to add the highlight and the texture. We are drawing dots on the top of each flower clump. This is pretty much the final look of this tree. Next, I will show you how to color the water pond. I have made a few tutorials on how to color water before. The technique here is the same. Imagine this tree is upside down. We will roughly draw its shape. When the water surface is not still, you will see a wobbly shape of reflection. Move your marker horizontally to draw these lines. Don't put too much pressure on the paper. Lift your marker at the end and go back and forth, so your lines won't be stiff. Make sure you leave some gaps between each line. We all use the same set of colors we used on the tree to draw the reflection. The sequence is the same. When coloring the grass, try to make your stroke direction consistent so your drawing will look clean. I will add more darker values on the bottom edge to add the depth. Use a darker shade of purple to repeat previous steps to gradually add the darker value. The last step is using the gel pen to add the highlight by drawing some curvy lines. I'm also using the gel pen to feather the edge of my marker strokes. I left the left corner empty because I don't want this drawing looks too full. This is the final look of this drawing. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching this tutorial. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. I will see you in the next video.